Let's do a full face of e.l.f. makeup on dark skin. First, we're going in with our primer. This is the e.l.f. Liquid Poreless Putty Primer. I'm only putting in the middle parts of my face to try to fill in the bumps that I have, and also to just make sure that whatever product I'm putting on is not going to crease on me. Just a little bit goes a long way, and because of how dark I am, the poreless putty actually comes off looking white on my skin. Also, because I have sunscreen on, it's going to look a little bit whitish before it settles down. Now, if you have a very smooth nose like I do, you're going to need to make sure to prime your nose very well. If not, your makeup is going to literally slip right off your nose. This is one of those products that you have to blend it in quickly and leave it alone, or it can roll up on you. Next, we're going in with a Power Grip with 1% niacinamide because this girl is going to help me control my oils. This is the primer base. It's looking very glowy, also very sticky. Can your primer base do this? I bet it can't. But honey, this is why we do this. Now we have to give this a few minutes to dry down before we go into the next step. This is the skin before we go in with the next step. It is dried down a whole lot more. Next, we're going in with a powder. I love using translucent powders, okay? Anything that's not going to show any color on my skin, but it's going to help mattify my skin. Count me in. This is the e.l.f. Cosmetics HD powder in the shade Translucent, and I picked it up hoping that it was going to give me a no color kind of a look, and it actually does. I'm using a fluffy brush. This is a Benai PA151 brush, and I'm going to apply this powder directly to our primed skin. Who remembers the e.l.f. Cookies and Cream collection? I bought so many of these sponges that this is one of the new ones I haven't opened yet because I have backups to the backups to the backups to the backups. These sponges were so good. I bought a few of them every time I would buy from e.l.f. if they were available. Let's go in with the foundation. We're using the e.l.f. Soft Glam Satin Foundation in the shade number 63. I'm also hoping that this shade doesn't come out looking too bright on the skin. I'm just gonna pat it everywhere first before we go ahead and blend it in. I put some of the foundation on the back of my hand and used our blending sponge to sort of pick it up. I'm not blending it into the back of my hand. I'm just picking up the product. That way it saturates the bottom of my sponge very well before I go in with it and just pat it onto my skin. Because of the prep that we did, I don't want to drag anything on my skin. If I do that, it's actually going to ruin the primer base that we put down, and I don't want that. The tone on this is beautiful. I think I built it up very nicely, but I'm also going to just concentrate right here on this spot to try to hide it a little bit more. Just putting the foundation directly on it, and I'm not going to try to blend it out entirely too much. This foundation is looking really good, and I haven't put anything else on it. This is a warm foundation, but it's not looking red on my skin. Like, how come nobody told me about this e.l.f. foundation? It looks really nice. You have to shake your concealers before you use them, as well as your foundations, because the last time I used this concealer without shaking it, my base came out so neutral. I regretted the entire makeup routine that I was doing. It just didn't work out for me, okay? So today I'm shaking it very well to make sure that all the pigments get mixed in together. I'm also going to be doing this action right here just to make sure that everything is mixed in, okay? Next, we're going in with our concealer. I like using a concealer that is only one shade lighter than my foundation. First, this is Rich Ebony, okay? This is the Rich Ebony concealer from e.l.f. Cosmetics. Of course, this is the hydrating concealer. I'm just drying down this concealer a little bit because it is a hydrating concealer. If I blend it out too quickly, I'm afraid it's just gonna absorb into my sponge and not do anything on the skin. We're going in with the same blending sponge, but we're using the pointed side of it to blend it in because it's gonna fit directly on the under eyes, and it's gonna allow you to blend this product exactly where you need to blend it in. Also, if you haven't noticed, I'm looking straight up as I'm blending because I need to make sure to blend into my lines. That way I don't blend over my lines and just end up looking creased before I even get started, okay? The last time, this was coming out entirely too neutral and I did not like it. I'm gonna start shaking my second concealer now before it's time for me to use it. I can definitely see how neutral this concealer is on my skin, especially when I compare it to how warm this foundation is. But it's blended in, and we're just gonna give it a few seconds while we mix this concealer. Maybe I need new concealers, because these concealers I bought whenever the Camo concealers first launched. This is the shade Rich Cocoa. Also gonna give it a few seconds to dry down before we blend it in. Same deal, we're gonna blend this in, and we're gonna try to keep it in the corner of the face. We're not gonna blow it out past where our eyeball is. Okay, just try to keep it as central as possible, because you don't want that lighter shade to overtake your entire base. Okay, our concealer is blended in. It doesn't look bad, but it still doesn't look blended, so we're taking the part of the sponge that we used to blend in our foundation, and we're just gonna blend all around the edges of the concealer. If you feel like your concealer is too bright, you can actually also blend over it just to neutralize it down a bit. Okay, I went ahead and set my face with some benign setting powder. Generally, I like to go in with my blush before I do anything else. I'm taking the e.l.f. Camo liquid blush. This is the shade Coming in Hot Pink. This thing is very, very pigmented. So what you're going to do is apply it to the back of your hand. Then you're going to take your brush that you're going to use to blend it in, blend it on the back of your hand to make sure that your pigment is on your brush, and then you're going to apply it to your face. Can you imagine trying to blend this directly onto the skin? It would look entirely too pigmented, and you might not be able to build it up, and you might just be afraid that you made a mistake. Generally, for me, cream blushes end up just mixing in with the depth of my complexion product to the point where it doesn't show up very well on. So we're just gonna blend this in, blend it on the highest points of your face, of your cheek. Always start with a small amount and build it up as you go. I like to apply some of the blush to my forehead as well. I also like applying some blush to my lips and to my nose. Okay, and I'm just gonna blend everything in. You're gonna blend the blush on all the parts of your face where it looks like your cheek is. You're going to take your powder onto the sponge, and you're going to essentially cut your blush. This is going to give you like a reverse contour type of situation. It's going to make you look like you contoured your face, but in actuality you didn't. Look for your ear, where the top part of your ear is, and the lines coming down. This is where I would actually tell you to put your contour, but because you don't have contour on, this is how you're going to do it. It's going to cut your blush, make you look like you have contour, but in actuality you don't. Let's put some of this powder on the sides of the nose. If you need to know the perfect shade of powder to use, I will link a video down below. Next is brows, and as much as I want to, e.l.f. doesn't have brow pencils that are deep enough for me to use, so we're actually using our Milani Cosmetics brow pencil. This is the Milani Precision Brow Pencil in the shade Ebony, and Ebony is showing up very nicely on the skin. But before we continue, we're gonna put a little bit of powder on the under eyes, just to act as a way to catch anything that might fall on our face. We're taking the e.l.f. Cosmetics Camo Concealer. This is the mattifying one. This is the shade Rich Ebony, and Rich Ebony is the shade that I like to use for anything that I consider to be skin tone shade, but a little bit brighter. Because this is matte, I don't have to worry about setting it face, because as soon as I draw my lines, it's going to dry down and set itself. As you can see, this is the shade I was expecting my Hydrating Camo Concealer to look like, but in turn, it looks entirely too neutral on my skin. Using a concealer that is almost the shade of your whole base helps you make very little mistakes, and it actually also helps you hide your mistake if you do make one, because it's not so bright. It doesn't stand out too much, and nobody's actually gonna notice if I make a mistake. It looks damn good. Next, we're taking a black brow gel. This is the NYX Thick It Slick It. We're gonna cheat and give ourselves a more dramatic brow. We're going in with a lighter concealer. This is also the e.l.f. Camo Concealer in the shade Rich Chocolate. It's significantly brighter than our initial shade. And we're just going to conceal only the tail part of our brows, okay? We're taking the e.l.f. Color Correcting Putty Eye Brightener. Go into this. This is actually an eyeshadow primer that's going to color correct your eyes and make sure that everything is exactly where it's supposed to go. This product also helps if you have oily eyelids, and this is actually going to prevent your eyelids from getting even oilier. So we're just gonna blend it in just on the eyes. You don't need to blend this all the way up to your brows. There's several different shades of this. If you're doing a colorful eyeshadow, definitely use this one. If you're not gonna be doing a colorful eyeshadow, you could definitely go over this with our skin tone matte concealer that we use to clean up our brows. So I'm gonna go back in with the ebony concealer. That way we can neutralize this a bit and make sure that it matches the skin and everything. And when you're doing this, you're tapping in, okay? You're not dragging it on, you're just tapping into it. We're taking some of our setting powder. This is the e.l.f. translucent powder. And we're just gonna set everywhere we just put the concealer and the primer. We're taking the Duochrome eyeshadow, and because I don't want to do too much, but I still want to have like a little cute session going on. Just gonna apply this on the eyelid, and immediately we're gonna blend it in with our brush because this product dries down so quickly and it likes to set and sit exactly where you put it. If you put too much of it at once, it tends to crease up on you and it will just crack everywhere. I want to have like a halo kind of an eye situation going without me doing too much, so I'm putting it in the middle of my eye and just blending it out sideways. Let's do the other eye. Oof, it is so pigmented. And when you put it on, when it's not dry, you can definitely feel that it's cold. I'm blending this directly into my crease and not moving it past the crease, okay? Adding a little bit more to the middle part and just tapping that in because I do want it to intensify directly in the middle part of this. Liquid shadows are the ultimate cheat code, okay? You don't have to do too much. Just apply and blend as quickly as possible so that they can stay in place and also look gorgeous without cracking on you. I have this e.l.f. liquid liner that I'm gonna use. I don't know if this is available on the website still, but I have it, so we're using it. We're taking our No Budge eyeliner from e.l.f. Cosmetics. It's black. We're going to tightline the lower lash line. Tightlining means applying a color, doesn't have to be black, to your upper lash line. And just like that, we lined both our top and our lower lash lines, and it looks really good. You can see that now that I lined my lower lash line, it actually brings everything together. My eyes are about to start watering, and this is when I would reach for my Q-tip and just keep it on the ready. Next, we're going in with the Lash and Roll mascara from e.l.f. Cosmetics, and we're just gonna mascara the eyes. I know we didn't contour our face, but we're gonna go ahead and contour the nose. I'm using the e.l.f. Camo foundation. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and brush away all the excess powder we put on the under eyes to catch any accidental fallout we may have. And also we're just going to use it to buff away whatever powder we put on here. What I'm going to do is take the e.l.f. Cream Glide Lip Liner. It is a brown lip liner that mimics my skin tone, and then we're gonna line the lips. Next, I'm going in with this lip shade to right in the middle of it, and also I'm gonna just blend it on the outer corners a little bit, and we're just gonna smack our lips to blend everything in. This is my finished look using mostly products from e.l.f. Cosmetics. Would you try this look? Let me know down below in the comments. I feel like this is a very gorgeous, it's given something, but we all know we did the bare minimum to get this gorgeous eye look. The lashes, the lips, the skin, everything is flawless, and look how gorgeous and smooth my skin looks right now. Like, what? You know, I love it. I'm here for it. It's giving gorgeousness. You know, it's giving pretty. It's giving somebody's wife. Listen, this is going to be one of my go-to looks, but if I have to dash out e.l.f. products, it's gonna slay. It's gonna sit on the skin really, really pretty. This is it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below in the comments if you would try this look or even if you like the look.